Have you ever seen a mother fight the entire universe for her child's future? I'm not talking about mama bear energy at the school PTA meeting. I mean walking for miles under the sun, battling corrupt cops, chasing thieves through the city, and literally hanging onto a moving car, all for a school fee. Now imagine doing all that without a single coin in your pocket, no husband, no education, and a society that has written you off. Sounds like a superhero origin story, right? Well, in a way, it is. Except this hero doesn't wear a cape. She wears hope like armor. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most moving, powerful, and deeply human stories I've ever read. A tale of love, resilience, injustice, and unshakable determination. And trust me, you'll never forget this mother's name by the end of this story. Our story begins in a small, dusty Zambian village, where life is tough. Drought has dried up both the land and the economy, and poverty is as common as the sunrise. But amid the hardship, one woman, Belita Boa, known as Nasula, a name she earned after the birth of her only daughter, Sula, is fighting a private war against hopelessness. And oh boy, is she losing sleep over it. The novel opens with her sleepless, tormented vigil as she faces a heartbreaking dilemma. Her daughter Sula, bright, dignified, and the pride of the local school, has just passed grade 9 as the top student and won a spot in a good secondary school. But dreams cost money. And Nasula? She doesn't even have a coin to her name.
It's called a cruel irony.
She is illiterate, widowed, and dirt poor. But she is also fiercely determined. Nasula knows what life without education looks like, because she's living it. And she's sworn that her daughter will never depend on a man for survival the way she once did. To Nasula, Sula is a cowry of hope, a small shell of possibility in the vast ocean of despair.
Talented, brilliant,
but there's a catch.
Amazing.
The only way to fund Sula's schooling is to do the one thing Nasula vowed never to do: face her heartless in-laws again.
What?
Years earlier, after her husband's death, his wealthy family robbed Nasula of the little inheritance he'd left her. These weren't just greedy relatives, they were ruthless, stripping a young widow and her baby of everything and casting them back into poverty. One of them, Isaki, a particularly brutal brother-in-law, even tried to force Nasula into marrying him as part of the so-called widow inheritance custom. But let's be honest, he only wanted control over what his brother had left behind. Now, after years of silence and anger, Nasula swallows her pride. For Sula's sake, she decides to ask Isaki for a loan, 100,000 kwacha, the amount needed to pay for school fees and supplies.
I don't know what that is.
With nothing but determination and a little food, Nasula sets off on foot for a day-long journey to Isaki's village. But instead of financial help, she finds devastation. The once wealthy estate is now empty, barren, and Isaki himself is a broken man, dying of AIDS.
It was the new, unmentionable disease of the world that came of the taste of flesh, the one that made you thin before taking you, the disease of today.
The narrator tells us. 2 of his 3 wives are already dead from the disease, and the third isn't far behind. With nothing to offer and no one left to help, Nasula returns home in disappointment, fear, and horror. Her daughter's dream is slipping away. But fate isn't done yet. Sula brings good news. Nalukwi, an old friend from Nasula's brief married life in Lusaka, is back in the village. Nalukwi is poor too, but she's fiery, brave, and known as the woman of a woman. With her support, a new plan is born. Nasula has a small bean harvest stored at home. Because of the drought, beans are selling for a high price in the city. If she sells them in Lusaka, she could raise enough money for school fees, and maybe even afford the bus fare there and back. So, with hope rekindled, the 2 women pack up the beans and head to the city. But the middle part of the story is ominously titled, What Powers of Darkness? And those powers are about to strike. Despite her care and caution, Nasula is conned. A smooth-talking city slicker tricks her out of the entire bag of beans without paying a single coin. Heartbroken, she confesses what happened to Nalukwi. Even her strong-willed friend has no solution, except a hopeless attempt to track down the thief. They do learn his name, thanks to a kind stranger, but that only adds insult to injury. The thief is from the same region as Nasula. Worse, he's notorious, known for covering his tracks and intimidating anyone who dares challenge him. As Nalukwi bitterly says,
"We are the carpet of the world. We can be stepped on without knowing who is doing the stepping."
the kind stranger, seeing Nasula's plight, gives her just enough money for the journey back home. It's a small gesture, but one that keeps her from giving up completely.
I don't know what to do.
Back at the bus station, Nasula is a woman on the edge. Her soul is scorched with despair.
Dangerous thoughts in the caverns of her being beat down upon her parched soul.
The narrator writes, on the bus home, she feels her dreams dying.
A whirlwind was born inside her, filling her with an unearthly power, a confusion of hate, love, and passion.
And then, in a moment of pure resolve, she steps off the bus. No, she will not give up. She negotiates a partial refund of her fare and stays in the city. She will find that thief. Somehow. What follows is a relentless search. Nasula spends days roaming the city, sleeping at the bus depot, often hungry, exhausted, and discouraged. At times, the acceptance of defeat begins to creep over her, but she refuses to quit. Finally, by chance, she sees him, the thief. Nasula confronts him on the street. He laughs in her face.
A small, ugly laugh which seemed to her crooked, devilish, stupid, and repulsive.
A fight breaks out, but the frail, emaciated Nasula is no match for the well-fed conman. Still, she clings to his car as he tries to drive away, risking her life. The commotion attracts a young police officer who insists they both go to the station. But justice is far from guaranteed. A senior officer lets the thief go after taking a bribe. Once again, everything seems lost. But Nasula's love-fueled courage hasn't run out yet. She sneaks upstairs in the police station and confronts the station commander himself.
Blood ran to her head and cheeks. Everything lost existence. She heard nothing but the pulsation in her temples and the shrill, unearthly voice in the hollows of her skull. She made up her mind and took the plunge.
This time, justice is on her side. The commander,
a man with the confidence of a stout-hearted man,
takes her statement, arrests the thief, and suspends the corrupt officer. Nasula receives not only her money back, but also compensation for her suffering. She leaves the station, her heart quivering, awed by the commander's integrity, and perhaps unaware that he is equally awed by her. Nasula buys Sula's school supplies, bumps into Nalukwi, and shares her triumphant story. At last, she returns home, victorious. Sula can now attend school. The dream lives on. But this is no fairy tale. It's a story of brutal realities, poverty, corruption, disease, and inequality, but also one of unbreakable love, relentless hope, and the quiet heroism of ordinary women.
Wow, the power of women.
And the name of this unforgettable story? It's A Cowry of Hope by Binwell Sinyangwe. This novel is a small book with a huge heart. It's beautifully written, poetic without being heavy-handed, realistic without being hopeless. Sinyangwe doesn't just tell a story. He immerses you in the thoughts and emotions of a poor rural mother with a clarity and tenderness that's hard to forget. Nasula is not a superhero. She's not rich, not educated, and certainly not powerful. But she is unstoppable. And that's what makes her story so powerful. Her courage is not born of strength, it's born of love. And Sula, though less prominent, embodies dignity and intelligence. Together, they represent a powerful message. Education is hope. And sometimes, hope is all you need to change a life. I also love how the novel expands the idea of heroism. It's not found on battlefields or in parliament buildings. It's in the dusty streets of Lusaka, in a mother's stubborn will, in a friend's loyalty, and in the everyday battles fought quietly across our continent. Binwell Sinyangwe, a Zambian author, published A Cowry of Hope in 2000. Written in English with touches of Mambwe, it's considered one of the gems of contemporary African literature. His writing is wonderfully evocative, and this novel, in particular, captures the epic in the ordinary, the heroic in the domestic. If you're looking for a story that will make you cry, cheer, and maybe even rethink what strength really means, A Cowry of Hope is the one. It's not just a story about a mother and daughter, it's a tribute to millions of women whose struggles go unseen, but whose courage keeps the world turning. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into African literature. And tell me in the comments, what's a book that moved you the way this one moved me? Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.